Hello, Triton community. This is the second installment of the Triton Trojan Spotlight. It's February 20th, 2018. And just simply as we discussed last time, we simply want to come face-to-face with our community and talk a little bit about the progress that's being made on the gym floor. Our hope is to continue to do that through the construction projects that are coming our way. But 2 weeks ago, Mason, we got together, and they were just getting ready to tear everything out, and a lot has happened since. So if you would just update us quickly on some of the things we're seeing now.
Sure. Well, as you can see, we're sitting here on a bare concrete floor. The wood is gone. As you said, that was replaced over the last 2 weeks, or torn out over the last 2 weeks, rather. So we have some pictures of that happening, but it was a long process for those guys. Felt bad for them having to load up all these pieces, haul them up out of the gym and up to the dumpster. So that was a lot of work for those guys. One of the things that happened with the way the system was in place before was that they had to do some concrete work. So you can see here that all the holes that were left behind are being patched and repaired by the guys here from Cedar Creek Flooring. And they've done a great job with that. That's all completed at this point, and they'll be coming back one day this week to kind of finish up, touching up those areas.
With all the water that we're seeing outside right now, just crazy rain and floods and stuff, we are happy to announce that it is dry in here.
Yes.
One of our biggest fears was taking that floor up and the possibility of mold and or cracks in the cement, and kudos 45 years ago for the people who put this floor in. It is completely dry at this time, and we're going to wait for him to come back and correct a few spots to make sure our floor is nice and flat and get started, and that should be taking place here real soon.
Yeah, it should be coming up real soon. One of the things that I kind of wanted to show people was how this old floor was in place. That was a question by a lot of people. So you can see here on the screen that there was a metal track that ran. This track is cut off here, but the tracks ran every 12 inches. And inside the track were these clips, and those clips were clipped into the board. You can see underneath the tongue there, it was clipped right in there. And so that's what actually held all these boards in place, so there were no nails in any of these boards. So because of the way that this system was put in place, it took a lot longer to do the demo than what they had expected.
They were hoping for about a week. It ended up being 2 weeks.
Right.
And we were really hoping to possibly save a bunch of the floor in big pieces and do all of that stuff as we kind of discussed last time. But it just wasn't possible. So they had to cut it in about 18-inch sections and pretty much pop it out one board at a time. You can also see the moisture board, which really allowed the floor to stay in place and not bubble so big. But it's really what worked against us in the end as far as trying to dry it out and save the floor, which was early on, but we've since passed that.
Yeah, so that's kind of how the old system was. So let's talk about the new system and how that might go in place.
Sure. On February 26th, the wood is going to arrive on site. We're going to see a lot of plywood. They're actually going to put two layers of half-inch plywood, to be exact, 2 layers of that, and then, of course, the maple on top. The maple actually has to sit a couple of days to acclimate to the humidity and the building. So we'll see that happening here real soon. There is going to be a week lull here while they're doing some of the repairs and waiting for the wood to come in, simply because typically they have a lot of lead time leading up to a removal and a replacement of the gym floor, but not in the case in this instance. But you have an example of the floor and how it's a little bit different than the one we just showed.
Yeah, so if you take a look at this, the gray piece of plywood on the bottom would represent the concrete floor. You can see that in this example, there's actually only one layer of plywood. Ours will actually have 2. So this is a little bit different than what you might see coming in next week. But you can see that there's these black pads underneath here. And these pads actually give it a little bit of cushion, and they give it a little bit of flex. So when you squeeze this, it would kind of represent someone jumping or running up and down the floor. It gives that flex and that air for the human knees and ankles and things like that. So it should be a lot easier on the body. So we're excited about that new design. The technology will definitely help our athletes as well.
It still may not allow you to dunk, but there's definitely more cushion than it used to be.
Yeah, they asked us what kind of floor do we want, and I said, I want the kind that can make me dunk. And they said they'll get me a trampoline. So I haven't seen that arrive on site yet, but I hope it's coming soon.
They couldn't promise that, but definitely going to be a more a safer floor, a more secure floor than what we've, obviously, technology has come a long ways in the 40 some odd years. So timeline. Let's talk a little bit about timeline. What should we expect? Possible finish date?
Yeah, well, so we're shooting at this point for spring break. We're hoping that by spring break the finish will be on, the paint will be on, it'll be finished, and the product hopefully will be completely done when the students arrive back here at the end of spring break.
All right. And the noise in the background just reminds us that we continue to thank our students and our staff for just being so flexible and still carrying on with PE classes, practices that are displaced than they typically would be. Continue to thank them for their just flexibility. Just so you see a picture of our gym floor here. Once again, just looking forward to that being down and putting to rest all of the hard work that's been put into the new floor.
Yep, absolutely. And if you want to follow us on Twitter, here's a couple ways that you can follow us. There's a really neat Twitter link at Watch Triton Grow, and that takes pictures, time-lapse pictures, and so it's updated every hour, I believe, and that's just a cool way to follow along with what's happening.
That being said, our tech department has been amazing, so I want to thank Ted Fisher, Michael Bainey, and Orion Lemler, who's not necessarily officially part of our tech department, but he is the official athletic Facebook page person.
Social media manager, I like to call him.
There you go, social media manager, all right, title, and he's going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame here real soon.
On Saturday night.
So excited for that, and just want to give them credit. We kind of came up with a vision, and they have taken it from there for sure, just with the heart and the purpose of trying to keep our community in the loop of what's happening if they're not inside our school on a daily basis like we are.
Yep.
So I want to thank them.
Absolutely. They've done a great job.
Just a couple other things as we move forward. Here in 2 weeks, we're hoping to see plywood on the floor, possibly even some maple on site as we maybe reconnect with you. But just keeping in mind, on March 9th, we're going to begin discussing. We're going to have our first pre-construction meeting for the HVAC system for the elementary school, the new roof for the high school, and, of course, the auxiliary gym. So some exciting times to come. As we have said, tongue-in-cheek, we're under construction. Happened a little bit once again quicker than we thought, but definitely some things in movement, and we should see some really good progress here coming real soon.
I think an important piece to what's coming up is that if you have questions, you feel free to contact one of us. You can contact Jeremy at Superintendent's office, or myself, or Principal Bob Ross here at the high school, or Christine Cook over at the elementary school, and just ask those questions. That's the thing that we want to make sure that everyone understands what's happening, why it's happening, so we're happy to answer those questions when we can.
Awesome. And just as we continue to try to communicate, our purpose for that is just to keep you in the loop and continue to allow you to be on this journey with us, and as we continue to build something great together.